This has been one of the most extensive looks I've done into any set of ETFs ever. I have tracked every single YieldMax ETFs. I believe there are 34 of them, every single one, and I have compiled so much data, put all of it into different spreadsheets so we can see which ones would have made you the most money and the least amount of money on inception. So there's so much to explain with this video. We're going to be covering a lot of stuff, so I hope you guys enjoy. If you like this content and you find it helpful or useful by any means, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps grow the channel. You guys have been phenomenal in helping me grow, and I'm so grateful. So with all of that being said, let's roll the intro. So we are looking at all 34 YieldMax ETFs. There are just so many. There's some new, some old, some popular, some very unpopular. But going all the way down, we can see they continue to put these things out. There are just so many of them. I didn't even know a lot of these new ones, especially until I started making this video. So a huge shout out to Eric B. He's in the Discord. If you guys want to join the Discord, it's totally free. We have a bunch of dividend-focused investors in there and just good investors overall. It's a really solid community, and I appreciate if you guys want to be in there, give your input on certain stocks, certain tickers, on certain dividend stocks as well, specifically. Go check that out. But Eric gave me the idea to compile all of this data. He's doing a challenge himself, which I think is really, really smart, just to track and see what YieldMax funds have made the most money and which ones will going forward for 2025. Now, all of this data, I compiled it from a number of different sources. I have checked a lot of it, and there's a little bit of variation between my stuff and a couple other sources, but I'll explain that kind of as we get to it. All of this, I've done my due diligence. I've tracked everything. This is, to the best of my knowledge, all accurate. So I'm going to pull up our spreadsheet now, and we'll cover all 34 YieldMax ETFs and their total returns since inception. So I will zoom out, and I'm going to shrink my camera, but I wanted to show you guys how insane these are. Like, there are so many of these. I'm going to zoom in, I should say. It's crazy. So this is all data compiled and collected by me to talk about in this video. So I'm going to shrink my camera down. Hopefully that doesn't offend anybody. I'm sure you guys love looking at me. But what we're looking at here is the total overview on, this is my dividend tracking spreadsheet that I had made for the channel. It's available under the channel memberships if you guys are interested. And it gives a lot of information. So I'm going to go over how I did this. But first I want to look at the dashboard. So I mapped it as if I invested $10,000 into each fund from YieldMax. So we can see this number of shares and the average cost per share. Now, how I got the average cost, I took the first available data from their first day trading from Google. That is all I did. I took it from the chart. That's why there's some variation between me and some drip calculators, and there's always some variation between the dividends being paid out as well. But I have all of this. I fact-checked it a couple times because I wanted to really be sure. And if you notice anything wrong, let me know. But, so number of shares, this all equates to $10,000 total. And so I'm going to try not to give away too much, but we can slide over here. You see cost basis, 10,000 all the way down or just under. It never goes a dollar over or under. That's how close we got it with our decimal points. So our dashboard. So had you invested $10,000 into every single YieldMax fund, you would be up 26%. Now on inception. And I want you guys to know, buying these on inception has been historically bad. They typically do not perform well, especially the first couple of weeks. It's usually a down market or a down trend, and I can tell you that because I looked at every single chart today. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad idea. Obviously, it's not because we have a total positive return of 26%, but still, it is something to think about. Now, our cost basis was $340,009. So a huge amount of money invested, and our current market value sits at $284,000. So we are down. Our market return, not total return, market return just off your equity invested, we are down $55,500. We are down 16.31%. And that reasoning is because a lot of these have dropped heavily. Some of these funds were trading in the 40s, and some of them, like, they're in the low teens at some points as well. Now we know with the crypto run that some of these have been coming back. We've had a pretty good market these last couple of months, but some of these are bouncing back, and so that does kind of show. Now, one thing I want to point out, we have received $144,357 in dividends, which is insane. Absolutely insane. The chart also tells you your day gain by dollar value and percentage. So we can see today was a good day. We're up $3,000 in this fake account. So not bad, but that would change day to day. And now everything is going to be messed up on here. This is going to look a little bit ugly, except for the diversification. But it looks ugly because I inputted in every single dividend for these from one spreadsheet. So I'm going to jump into that right now. Okay, so what we're looking at here, and this will be available on the channel too if you guys want it. It took me a ton of time to make, so I'll put it in one of the memberships probably, if you guys are interested. If you are, let me know in the comments. But this is the amount of dividends paid out since inception of the fund for one share. So you can see some crazy ones like Tesla's paid out a lot. They paid out $28.70 per one share since inception, but Tesla is one of the oldest ones. I believe it was one of the original 3. And it ranges, a lot of these that you guys love, Coney and NVDY have been paying out a ton. Misty, MSTY paid out $24 total. So that's pretty solid, as well as if you track this with the price appreciation, which again, we are going to do. But I wanted to showcase this a little bit. So here's the number of shares that were purchased with our $10,000 investment. And so here's the total dividends. So I'm going to pull up the dividend log now, and this is on our other spreadsheet, but this is all messed up because I didn't put it in for each individual month. I put it all in for the month of December because I added them together. But this data, I pulled all of this data from the drip calculator. So you guys are familiar, I've used the drip calculator a lot. When we pull it up, I can actually just show you. When we pull this up, we'll run it for NFLY. It gives you your reinvestment and your non-reinvested amount. So I did non-reinvested for this challenge. I know a lot of people like to reinvest these. This is without reinvested dividends. So remember that. Very, very important. But it gives you your total return without reinvesting and your dividends collected. So 1039. So if we minimize this back down, we can go to, what did I do? And 1039 for NFLY. So that's how I tracked it. So now when we pull back up our other spreadsheet, we can see it is still updating. We're still in the aftermarket hours at the time of recording. But we go into the positions tab, and then we can actually check everything. I inputted in all of this data, and we go to the dividend log. So this dividend log, what we're going to do now, we're going to look at how much each fund has paid out with $10,000 invested. So Tesla has paid out $7,000. OARK, $5,500. APLY, $3,400. NVDY, $12,400. An absolute insane return, but we kind of considered that. We figured that, right? Because it's been doing so well. AMZY, $5,000. FBY, $6,000. $3,000 for the Google. Coney, almost $13,000. I believe that is one of the highest. It is higher than NVDY, probably because the crypto has been going crazy. NFLY, $5,400. $3,600 for Disney. MSFO, $36,000. XOMO 22. I'm going to go through all of these because some of them are truly insane. JPMO, some of these I thought would do a lot better than they have actually, but we see 3,000 for JPMO. AMDY, a pretty good return, 6,500. PYPY, 46. SQY, 7,000. Another really big one, but probably because of crypto to an extent. MRNY, 5,000, bigger than I expected it to be. AIYY, 3,600. I wasn't even familiar with a lot of these funds. And then we have YMAG and YMAX, 3,400 for YMAX, 3,200 for YMAG, which is definitely not bad. MSTY, 11,300. So that proves it. Coney is our biggest payout since inception so far with just dividends. I think it is older than MSTY. NVDY was close though. ULTY, 4,600. YBIT, 33.5. CRSH, 2,700. GDXY, 1,800. These are going to get smaller and smaller because these are newer funds as we go along. So SNOY, 2,600. ABNY, 14. Fiat, 3,000. DIPS, 1,500. BABO, which is the BABA fund, 1,700. YQQQ, 500. TSMY, 900. SMCY, 1,450, and PLTY at $422. Now, what I want to point out, too, with these is some of these have returned an insane amount of money in a very short time, and we're going to look at that. That will show up in our final review of all the funds when we look at their total market value and total percentage return. So just looking at these and going, oh, they're not returning as much, they haven't paid as much out in dividends, don't negate these just because some of them have returned an insane amount for the amount of time that we have seen them. So now we're going to jump back over into our other tab. Okay, now this is where the fun begins. So we're going to go over our market return percentage-wise. This is how much money you would have made. Like I said, the 10K invested just on the price, no dividends. No dividends at all. So Tesla, you'd be down 61%. Tesla has fallen so far. It's insane. It's absolutely crazy. And it's even worse than you'd expect. Like the average cost per share initially was $41 and currently it's 15, 16 almost. So yeah, we've seen some crazy drop. 44% for OARK, APLY down 10%, NVDY is up 24%, AMZY is down 1%. So what I'm looking for with these funds specifically, before I just ramble all of them off, is I want some that can yield barely anything, right? Like it's nice that NVDY is positive. That's a bonus. It's just probably not going to continue. But what I like AMZY, the fund is traded sideways, but you've had insane amounts of dividends paid out. And so you haven't lost a ton of capital. You're down a little bit, but there's no crazy NAV erosion. We've seen crazy NAV erosion with a lot of these, Tesla and OARK specifically, and a few others too. So AMZY, like I said, down 1%. FBY, down 5%. Again, not another decent option, only down a little bit. And then we have GOOY, the Google fund, down 30%, 28.5%. Coney is only down 0.11%, which is actually insane. If you guys aren't familiar, I have a full account where I traded a bunch of popular ETFs and dividend stocks, and I'm tracking their progress. I've been lax on the videos. I need to keep up with them, but Coney is the biggest winner in that account by far. It's actually pretty crazy. We have NFLY up 2.7%. So this is one that I haven't bought that I think might be a good option. I think it could be really, really solid. So far, we haven't seen crazy price appreciation or depreciation. It's just been trading sideways. Disney DISO is down 13%. MSFO down 4%. XOMO down 23%, really tough. JPMO down 0.5% or up 0.5%. And we have AMDY down almost 40%, 39%, which is a big negative. I'm just not pumped with that one. I wish it was better. I like the idea behind that one, especially with AMD, but it's been in a rough patch for a little while. And we have PYPY. This one is one of my favorite funds that isn't talked about a lot. The yield was pretty crazy there, and volatility went up, and this thing was paying out some crazy dividends. Then we have SQY. This one came out of nowhere, I'm guessing, again, because of Bitcoin. It's up 10.4%. Then we have MRNY down 70%. A lot of these, I have people in the live chat. I go live every Wednesday. For those of you that are interested, people are constantly calling out like Pfizer and Moderna, and I have nothing against them, but because of all the things that happened post-pandemic, and I think there's some potential lawsuits that are going to be settled, I'm not touching them. They're just too risky, and we've seen MRNA drop like crazy, and thus MRNY has dropped like crazy too. I don't know why AIYY has done so poorly, down 50%. YieldMax is down 8.2%, and YMAG down 1%. Now, these are two of my favorite funds. They're two of the only ones that I hold in my actual Roth IRA, and they pay weekly now. So this was based off the monthly payments and the weekly combined, but there is something to note, where if you did this just from the weekly payments from when it started switching from monthly to weekly, you'd be positive. You'd be positive on price return, and you'd be positive on dividends paid out on as well as that. They've been doing so phenomenally well. And I think that they don't get enough attention. People really like them, and I see why after running a bunch of the data myself. And now if you're interested, I have a full account on the weekly dividend payers where YMAG and YMAX are consistently the top two in the fund, followed by the Roundtail and lastly the Defiance ETFs. I'll link those at the end of this video if you want to watch. They are pretty fun videos, and they've been really fun to do for the channel. MSTY, an insane 64% up, which is crazy. That's not including the dividends, which is insane. We see a ULTY down 50%. A lot of people like this one and asked me about it in the comments. I did run it through a drip calculator, and I ran some calculations, and I don't think I'm going to do a video on it anytime soon just because it is so negative. So negative. And then we see YBIT, also negative 30%. We see CRSH. Again, some of these I'm not really familiar with. I don't even know what this fund is on. I don't remember. But it's down 65%. DGXY. All these new ones have been beaten up a little bit. DGXY is down 20%. We have SNOY, which is up. Is that on snow? I don't know. And then we see that's, up 5%. ABNY down 22%. I wouldn't invest in that one. I think Airbnb is not going to be great over the next coming years. Fiat down 60%. Dips is down 30% because we've continued to see, is that NVIDIA? We've continued to see it run, so I don't see why Dips would be doing well. BABO, which is on BABA, again, down 13%. YQQQ down 11. TSMY flat. It's been paying out some crazy dividends. SMCY is down 30%. And then we have PLTY, which has been destroying it lately, up 35%. And so the reason this one's up is because PLTR, the underlying fund, has been doing extremely, extremely well. And so I'm happy with that. I haven't bought into that one. And I didn't fill out the sector section. If you're interested, you can fill all this out. I do it for my normal portfolio, and then you can have your diversification. It tells you all the stuff that you should know about your account, like how much money you have in each sector and stuff. Really, really important. But now we can look at the total return for these. I could not get it to auto-populate. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to go through normally. We can see the total return. So market return was just your initial capital, what it's down. Some of these, it's pretty crazy because Tesla's down 61.5%, but the total return, you're still up 8.5%, which is wild to me. That means it's been kicking out the dividends. So a lot of these are positive, surprisingly to me. Some of these are phenomenal investments, and I never would have guessed. We have OARK is still up 11%. APLY is up 25%, even though it's lost 10% of its value. And then NVDY, some of the heavy hitters really coming out here, up 147%, which is crazy. 50% for AMZY and 54% for FBY, which is Meta. Like, these are ones I never would have thought of investing in, and they're still returning great. And then you have ones like GOOY, which I thought would do well, down, well, up 2%, but compared to like inflation, you're still losing money. CONY comes in but under NVDY total return with 129% return with dividends included. We have NFLY up 50%. We have DISO up 23%. We have Microsoft up 32%. XOMO negative. That's a bummer. JPMO up 30%, AMDY up 26%, PYPY up 42%, and we have ones like SQY up 80%, which is crazy. So many of these I never would have thought of investing in, to be honest. Like I said, Netflix, I was like, I could, but why would I? And then in reality, its return is phenomenal. I really am surprised by so many of these. mRNA is negative, but only 16, 17%, which compared to a 70% loss is pretty wild. AIYY, again, down 12.5% total. YieldMax is up 26, and YMAG is up 30. So if you think these are good, imagine what they're going to do now after switching to weekly, because the performance has improved. My return on both of these so far for like an annual basis is in the, I think it's like 40 to 50% return. It's been pretty insane. So both of those are in my portfolio. And our biggest winner is MSTY, up 177%. So total return wise, it is the winner. 66% in price, better than Coney and better than NVDY. So that's why, even if it paid out a little bit less in dividend, you are still up so big with MSTY. We see ULTY down 2%. Again, that's why I didn't put the video out on it. YBIT is up 40%. My phone is ringing. We have 40% negative for CRSH. I'm not touching that one. And all the rest, I'm not going to go into all of them. You guys can see it on here. The only one I will talk about is PLTY is up 40%. Most of that coming from the fact that PLTR has been running like mad. So I'm very, very interested in what you guys think about these. What is worth it and what is not? I haven't factored in the growth rate. I didn't put any of that in because it just takes so much time. And then we can actually see the total dividends and all that as well. So this will be available for those that are interested. It is behind a paywall because it helps me do all these challenges. I would love to one day put thousands of dollars into all these funds and track them. That is the whole point of my channel, is to invest, to make money, but to have fun doing it and to see what works and what doesn't work. So if you guys are interested, don't forget to check this out. There's so much in here that I'm working on, and there's even more to come. So I'm super grateful for all the support you guys have given me. Don't forget to like and subscribe once again, and I'll see you in the next video.